What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I am your host, Kory Willis. I hope you all are doing well on a Friday, getting ready for week 6 of the college football season.
That's going to be week 6, Kory.
Look.
It's week 6.
Already. I know.
Man, I remember we were just cranking this thing out. The season was starting up. We had week 6.
Hey. I look, I try to tell everybody that the season, look, as soon as we start the season, we're going to start closing the doors on the season. It doesn't last that long. I promise you it doesn't.
Week 6, man, the season is moving, but it's been a joy to watch. We got some of everything, man. We seen some big wins, some big upsets, and I know this weekend is going to have it all too. I mean, it's college football, man. Any given Saturday, we know what can happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know all of our fans are going to be eager to watch a lot of games this week. Of course, we got a lot of good games on the slate, so I can't wait till we all watch them and get a chance to just kind of sit down and talk about everything that happened throughout the week.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. I appreciate everyone listening in on the show. Of course, you can listen to us on multiple streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms that's out there. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. Let us know what we're doing and how we can improve for the future. So we very much
unlock your iPhone and whatever app you have for podcasts, we're there.
Yeah.
We just search us. Just search the name and we got you. We're on there.
Exactly. So yeah, as always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host. You just heard him. He is Chris Bolton. What's going on, Chris?
Hey man, I'm doing great. Let's get straight to it. I'm ready.
Oh yeah,
I'm ready. I'm turned up. This is we got some games that have some real implications.
Absolutely.
For things going forward. Some serious implications going on. And we said, you are what you are who you are. The last podcast. That was like the big thing. You are who you are, at this point of the season. But, there's still a chance for some people to really find out if teams are who they are. Like, is Louisville or are the Cardinals, are they the real deal? They're 5-0 right now.
Exactly.
You are who you are. We're going to find out. They go up against a very tough Notre Dame team.
Yep.
Kentucky. You are who you are. Is that the team that just ran through Florida? Literally ran through Florida. Like 280 yards worth of running through with Ray Davis. Can you not necessarily replicate that, but can you find a way to get another huge win on your resume? Yep. And this will be a signature win for Mark Stoops and the Kentucky football program in general. Is this that time? So or for Georgia, you've been ranked number 1 team in the nation. There's been a lot of games, a lot of quarters where you haven't looked like the number 1 team in the nation. Are you are who you are? Are you that number 1 team in the nation? Are you going to put the smackdown on a conference division foe who's looking to make that next step and put themselves on the map nationally and solidify themselves as one of the better teams in the country? So it's going to be a great weekend.
Absolutely. It's so many season-defining games this week. We're already halfway throughout the season, and like we've been talking to our audience, these are big time games that can really catapult your season in a positive way or a negative way. So it's going to be interesting to
Oh
see
yeah,
how a lot of these games fare.
yeah. LSU, they know about the negative way. This is a huge weekend for Tiger fans and the LSU fan base and that program as well. So, but let's get to it, man. With speaking of season of maybe some of the tougher. This might be the toughest matchup in the season, I believe, for this team down south with Alabama and Texas A&M. And I'm talking for Alabama. I think this might be the toughest game they have this year, going on the road to take on the Aggies, a team that isn't ranked. But if you've seen how they've been playing lately, I mean, you can't tell me this isn't, I feel like, one of the, of course, top 25 teams talent-wise. And also, they play some good football, too. Granted, they got, beat by Miami earlier this year. But I think this is a top 25 team. And I think the spread is giving credit to Texas A&M as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Right now, Vegas has Alabama as a 1-point favorite, so that tells you all that you need to know about.
It's a coin flip, bro.
Yeah,
it's a coin flip. Yeah,
yeah. Over under is 46. So, I really think. Yeah, I know. I think right now, A&M being at home is a plus for them. And granted, they've been playing fairly well the last couple of weeks. Like, we haven't been dealing with any Jimbo, Petrino.
they haven't wrung each other's throats yet so far. Everybody's still good.
Yep. we haven't ran into any issues that have created chaos with this offense and just the whole team in general. So maybe that is a good thing. But yeah, overall, I think that is a plus for A&M. Of course, they are coming into this game with no Connor Wegman, of course. Like, they have Mac Johnson back out there at quarterback now. So with Wegman being hurt, so this is a big opportunity for A&M to really showcase themselves as a top team in the West Division of the SEC, and the sky's the limit for them. This is a big opportunity for them.
Is this possibly could be the SEC West championship game? The winner of this game, I think, has a very good shot of winning the West and making it to the SEC championship game. But yeah, Max Johnson will be starting at quarterback for the Aggies. I think he's a very good backup QB.
I think so too.
He someone that can make plays, can make throws, and I'm pretty sure Coach Petrino will put him in position to make plays. I don't think they're going to just play conservatively. I don't expect that at all from A&M. I think they're going to attack Alabama. Don't even be shocked if the first play is like a play action, bake the handoff, and they just try to uncork a bomb to one of those stud receivers that A&M that they have. I mean, they have guys. you know what I'm saying? Like, they really have some guys that can make plays vertically down the field. And so I wouldn't be shocked if that's the first play of the game, and also that's just a philosophy. So, of course you want to be balanced and establish the run, but they are going to test the Alabama secondary, and I think relatively often, to see if they can bust open some plays. Because the game plan on how to beat Alabama has been laid out for teams. We saw the Texas game.
I know.
You know, and
It's a prime example right there.
we saw the Texas game. We saw AD Mitchell. We saw Xavier Worthy and those guys make plays down the field. I think I'm sure Petrino has looked at that film and they're going to take elements from what Texas did because they have the similar athletes. They have Evan Stewart is a Sunday player at wide receiver for Texas A&M. I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get him the ball vertically and see what they can do.
As they should.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And also another thing that favors A&M. What's the strength of A&M's defense, Kory?
The strength of their defense right now. At first, it wasn't their line, just because they weren't really getting much of a pass rush push. But I can definitely say like their secondary is, and some of the linebackers are pretty stout as well.
Yeah, but lately, man, you saw the Auburn game. Them boys been that D line has gotten after it. That is probably the most talented defensive line in the nation. With all those, there's nothing but 5 stars across the board on that D line. And what's the weakness of Alabama's offense?
I think we already know their offensive line has not played like a normal Alabama offensive line usually plays. Granted, they've figured out a couple things where they look somewhat better, but to me, honestly, the jury is still out on that O line.
For sure, this isn't a normal Alabama O line,
right?
So when you put those two things together. And we know Alabama, they've had their struggles passing the football. So if A&M can force them into 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9 situations, 3rd and longs, and them boys can pin their ears back and know we got to get after the QB, it's going to be a tough game, I believe, for Alabama's offense. It's setting up that way.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's one of the reasons why, looking at this game all week, Chris, if Alabama's O line just does not pass protect at all, and granted, all season they haven't really been doing that as well. Like, I just don't see how they can play as well of a game to win. Like Jalen Milroe, from what we've seen from him in the pocket, he's literally had to scramble for yardage, make some miracle throws, of course, like the throw we saw against Ole Miss, to even have a chance back there. And even when he does make those plays, you just still look at that offensive line and you're just like, my gosh, like, you're really going to tire this guy out in just letting him, use his athleticism without giving him any kind of pass protection to even give you a chance. So, yeah, like you said, the last couple weeks, that defensive general for A&M has gotten better, particularly that defensive line. That Auburn game, they were amazing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see
what happens.
Yeah, can
A&M get home? And what do they do on 3rd down? Like, do you dial up that man blitz? Because this isn't your average pocket passing quarterback back there. There's a lot of risk that comes with dialing up a man blitz on Jalen Milroe. Because all it takes is him making, like somebody comes unprotected. If he makes him miss, and gets out the pocket, and now he's using his legs. Good luck. He can turn what should have been a sack into a 30-yard, 40-yard gain, or even a touchdown run.
Yeah.
So there's also that to factor in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see what is the scheme, what's the approach by both coaches. I'm pretty sure. I think we both are confident that Alabama knows we're going to have to run the ball. Like they really have to own the line of scrimmage and keep themselves from those third and longs to having to convert those and make this the points is what 46. The line is 46 points for a reason. Make this a hard fought, run the football, time of possession kind of football game. Just make it 2005 SEC football all over. You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably going to be Alabama's game plan, I think.
It's like at this point now, how the way they're playing, it's just gonna have to be their game plan throughout the rest of the season. I think if this is the way that their offensive line is going to play, and like we're honestly assuming that they are going to play as about as as well as they've played all season back there, which isn't really saying much, honestly. With pass protection, like they're gonna have to run the football. If that's all that they can do against A&M, and even with that, you are going up against a pretty physical defensive line that wants contact, and they've figured out how to get pressure. So
yeah, and they've won this game before. It's not like they're coming into this game like you remember the mystique of can we beat Bama?
Right.
There's not that mystique in this game because we've seen A&M a couple of times. We've seen them step up to the plate and beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
What was that 2 seasons ago? The last time they were at A&M, was that when
yeah,
I want to say
you're talking about the last time A&M defeated Alabama?
Alabama, I feel like that was at home for A&M. It either might be. I really want to say that was 2 seasons ago. I'm about to look it up and see, but let's see if we can do some quick research.
2 years ago, 2021 season.
Yes.
Yeah, they defeated Alabama. Being number one Alabama, 41-38.
That was a crazy game. That was a spectacular game.
Yeah, it was. That was the that was the that was the game where Calzada and Spiller and all of those guys, they really had a day in that game.
Yeah. So look, they will be confident that they can get this win, and of course for Alabama too, I feel like they're low key, like they're starting to hit their stride. We saw this team play 3 quarterbacks a few weeks ago in one game. Well, no, play 2 quarterbacks in one game a few weeks ago in South Florida, and have now settled on Milroe and have been continuing to game plan to put him in position to succeed. And you also they have a very stout and stingy defense themselves. This has been, I feel like, one of Alabama's better defenses of late. Just when it comes to how they really have limited their opponents' scoring, and they will need another great effort from them in this game. So, but it's going to be a fight. I think the line is right. I really think this is going to be another game that goes to the wire.
Yeah, I think this is a dog fight for sure. Like, this game is going to be going on pretty much, I think, around the same time as no, I thought it was going to go at the same time as the UT OU game, but yeah,
I think it's the UT OU. Is that that's at noon Eastern, 11
Yeah.
Central, and then I think this game is the 3:30
Yeah.
CBS game. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So,
Who you got winning?
So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get on to our picks for this game. I think overall, from what I've seen from A&M, I've seen a team that's very hungry. Look like things are starting to come together now. So I will say A&M wins this game by 10 points.
Aggies
Touchdown
by
field goal.
10.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm right there in line with you. I got A&M winning.
I knew I could
I put
trust
that
you.
suspense in there. I had to, say it, play it off. Yeah, I'm right there with you with A&M winning.
Yeah.
I have them winning by 3.
Okay. That sounds fair too.
I think I see it being 27-24.
Okay.
And it's gonna sound crazy, but I think the defense gets to stop at the end. I don't think it's gonna be a walk off. I think A&M gets the field goal with 3 minutes or so to spare.
Yeah.
And I think the defense carries them home.
Yeah.
And gets them to win. But yeah, it's gonna be a tussle. And if Bama gets past this game and wins it, we'll have to be real about them and be like, this team.
Are they making a comeback?
Still have a chance in the playoffs. They still have a chance in the playoffs. You look at the schedule. You have Tennessee at home. You have LSU at home, and who knows how LSU will be looking at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show. Yeah. Who
the schedule sets up nicely for Alabama, though.
Right. Yeah, if they can squeeze out of this game with a victory, the sky's the limit for the Tide. I think at that point, I will say maybe they have started to figure some things out after losing to Texas. Maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to Alabama, because they can really figure out what were their deficiencies and what they need to do to hide them best way possible.
I take it a step further. I think South Florida could low-key be the game we look back on this season if Alabama gets past this and goes on to win out. I think we look back at the South Florida game because they learned very quickly we need Jalen Milroe.
Look, all through that game, Saban was, and I still remember looking at Saban going in back after that game where his hair was just everywhere. He looked like a man under just absolute stress, Chris. I was like, my gosh, he really is feeling it right now. And I mean, I can't blame him. That team will look like a mess.
They look like a mess. And that Monday morning, it was quickly announced that Jalen Milroe is the starting quarterback for the week.
Just that fast.
Because look, I'm going to go on my soapbox real quick. Everybody really tried to pin that loss against Texas on Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
Granted, he is not the best passer. He is not a Tua. He is not Bryce Young. He's not one of those guys when it comes to passing the football. But it damn sure wasn't his fault they lost that game.
No. If anything, that was a team effort of losing that football game several weeks ago. It was just...
And I feel like everybody's learned quickly now. He is the best chance for this team to win. They are not going to win unless he is at quarterback.
Right.
That team that tried out there against South Florida, they getting ran off. They losing half their SEC games. Alabama is 8-4 if Jalen Milroe is not at quarterback.
Yeah, you can forget Buckner. Yeah, you can forget Buckner going out there. Ty Simpson, anybody else? Nope. It's not going to happen. You need Jalen Milroe to go out there to give you at least a shred of hope. At least
Yes,
somewhat of a chance that you can win these football games throughout the rest of the season. So you're absolutely right. I think what they have right now is the best recipe for success. They're just
I
gonna have to
agree.
come out and really showcase.
So if Milroe, if he has 120 plus rushing yards,
Mm-hmm.
I think I think we might look back and be like, okay, I think that's a stat that tells us Alabama won.
I think so
If
too.
Milroe has like a huge day rushing, because I feel like at that point he's busted off a couple big ones
Mm-hmm.
to get some that eventually maybe ended in touchdown drives, if not a touchdown on that run for Alabama.
Right.
So that's going to be a stat I'll keep my eyes on, is Milroe's rushing yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me as well. I think that stat alone gives you a lot of it tells you a lot about the offense anyway. Just because he's so dynamic as a runner, more so than his passing skills. But I think it's really
He has a
going
gifted
to
long ball too.
yeah.
He has a gifted long ball, but his, like you said, his running is a game changer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like looking at the stat right now, um, yards rushing right now, Alabama has 167.8 and A&M has 160.4. So a lot of that has to do with Jalen Milroe just running the way he has. So, McClellan and Roydale, what is Roydale Williams?
Yes. Yeah.
Those guys have they've stepped up as well with the rushing game, but Jalen Milroe he does show a lot of skills running the football. So yeah, be on the lookout for that.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. So any other things that you want to add to this game before we move on?
Nah, no more thoughts, man. Just I'm ready for war.
Yeah,
Um,
and you're gonna get it.
that's why I can describe it. I'm just ready to see a bloodbath on that field, man. It's going to be physical. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be hype. The 12th man will be rocking.
Yeah, I definitely believe so. It's going to be an interesting game, and I can't wait for all of us to witness it. So yeah, Alabama A&M this Saturday. All right, so segueing now, we mentioned it briefly a minute ago, but I say, Chris, let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty of things. So, we got the Red River Rivalry game. Red River Rivalry, some people call it the Red River Shootout still, whatever you want to call it. OU, Texas, clashing again, Chris. This game,
in the real Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, in the Cotton Bowl. I think this game is definitely going to be one of the best Red River Rivalry games that we've seen in quite some time. And it's going to be the last time that we're going to see these two as Big 12 teams before they head into the SEC. So,
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, we are here now. Yeah, Vegas has Texas as a 5-point favorite. Over under is 60.5. So Vegas is already telling you a lot of points are is going to
Great
be
points.
scored in this game, and no one's
I
going to play
agree.
defense.
It's tough, man. And Oklahoma has looked very good. They look very good defensively this year. At times,
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm. And offensively
But
too.
yeah, but who have they played? They haven't really played anybody. This will be their toughest task to date.
Yeah.
Going against arguably the best team in the nation. I think
I think so.
we can say that, especially with Texas having a signature road win against Alabama
Mm-hmm.
on their resume.
Yep.
Um, they have proven themselves. Have they been the most consistent? Have they looked great and dominated quarter after quarter? Nope. But nobody has this season.
No.
Um, so, but yeah, we're gonna learn just how good this OU defense is
Mm-hmm.
when you go up against Quinn. You're trying to check AD Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to check Xavier bye Worthy. That he has world class speed.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure he will get. I think he will get behind the defense at least one time in this one and bust one for 40 plus. He's just that. He's that kind of guy.
I think he's going to do it at least about 2 or 3 times. I think he's going to be the man that runs the show for UT in that game, just because, man, he's so electric. And, we can name plenty of players just alone in college football that are electric players that, as soon as they step out on the field, you're going to get everything out of them, and you're going to see some amazing athleticism out of said player. And I think he's one of those guys where he's definitely going to have to step up for Texas, and I think he will in a big time.
I agree. So I'm curious, with you being in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
in the circle, Texas fans all around you,
Mm-hmm.
just being really kind of plugged into that area.
Yeah.
What are you hearing when it comes to people's thoughts on this game, and just how do you what are your keys? What are some of the things that kind of just pop ahead for you that will really kind of define this ball game?
So so far this week, a lot of fans are, of course, very excited. I will say this: the confidence in the way that this offense has been ran by Sark, people love it, and people are really ecstatic. They are enjoying the fact that this team is playing as well as they've played in quite some time. I forgot the last question that you had.
And just what do you feel like are the keys? What are the keys in this ball game?
Yeah. So, of course, I would say one of the biggest keys is not turning the ball over. Which I think for the most part, Ewers has done a pretty good job in not doing that. He did turn it over in the Kansas game, but for the most part, he's done a fairly good job. So I think not turning the ball over, staying sound on defense, are some of the keys for this for this Texas team if they want to come out of this football game with a victory.
Yeah, and Oklahoma's gonna have to. They're gonna have to spread it out They're gonna have to throw that thing. I feel like to win this one.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough, but Oklahoma has. We've talked about Texas having guys. I mean, OU, they have some ball players as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dylan Gabriel against the competition he's gone up against, he's looked like the real deal.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, granted, all these players: Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa, Cincinnati. Both Tulsa and Cincinnati were away, but hey, in Iowa State, but hey, yeah, you got a chance to beat your rival at the Texas State Fair on Saturday, in front of a national audience. So if they can get that done, hey, I don't think there's you're not gonna hear any complaining from me. Of course, if they pull it out, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I guess I'll give my keys for Oklahoma as well. If they want to pull this game out with a victory too. So one of my keys for the game for OU is to let Dylan Gabriel be himself. Let him be as dynamic of a player that he's been these last couple of games, these last 5 games of the season. And as for OU, be able to rattle the Texas wide receivers. Be able to hold guys like Worthy out there who were just if you let that guy go, he's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill you out there in the perimeter. So be able to really contain Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, which is also a really good receiver for Texas as well. Sanders, all of those guys, Jonathan Brooks. Be able to really contest with them on the defensive side of the football. That's pretty much all I got for OU.
I think it's the shot plays are going to be big for Oklahoma on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Limiting Texas shot plays, the big gains, and then also for yourself, for Oklahoma, creating the said shot plays. It's tough matriculating the football down the field for 10 play, 12 play, 14 play drives. It's not easy. But you can bust one open and hit a 30-yarder. Those are the plays that you need in these kind of games. Take advantage of coverage breakdowns of some, what I'm saying? Or if you're scrambling and you're a receiver, you find a way to get open for Gabriel to get you the ball in space and to make a play downfield. They're going to need those.
Yeah.
In matchups, comes to mind. We just spoke about A&M earlier, but remember A&M with Johnny Manziel was at QB. He made plays with his legs and broke plays open, and they got those big shot plays downfield to take down Bama.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to need something similar. Texas is extremely talented on both sides of the ball. They have stellar players. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need your quarterback. Sometimes your first read won't be there, and your second read isn't going to be there. So now We playing. It's schoolyard football. It's PE. We got to make a play.
It's fifth period right now.
We got to make a play. So we're gonna need guys to make plays and bust some plays open.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'll be keeping my eye out on. Can Oklahoma, because they are good,
Mm-hmm.
but I view Texas as one of the top three teams in the nation, and I feel like Texas should win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to account for the scenario and how Oklahoma makes it happen. And I think they make it happen by, you know, whether it's the shot play, the design shot plays, or creating something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta succeed in those opportunities and make it happen. You can't have to drop. Oh, you dropped a long 40-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have those this game. This is Texas.
Right.
You got to reel that in. You know what I'm saying? Or you overthrow the receiver for that design bomb touchdown downfield, splitting the cover two, and you find them over the middle on the post route because you recognize the coverage. You got to execute that.
Exactly.
So I think those are things I'll be keeping an eye on in this game to see, can Oklahoma execute the opportunities, because there will be some.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever converts and executes, that's going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, in order for OU to get a W, just allow Dylan Gabriel to be himself, be able to make some spectacular plays, and that does depend on the rest of the team being on the same page as well, and really doing their 1 of 11s as well. So if they can do that, hey, the sky's the limit for OU. I think that they can really take on Texas and come out of that game with a victory. But same way I'm saying for Texas as well. Vice versa, it goes both ways. But yeah, I'm eager to see what happens in this game. For me, my pick overall, I think I have to give it to Texas, just because of that schedule right now. I think they're just a little bit more battle tested than Oklahoma. Doesn't mean Oklahoma doesn't have the talent to beat Texas. I think they do, but I do think this Texas team this year is a little bit more battle tested, and I see them winning by at least 2 scores.
I'm rocking with Texas as well.
Mm-hmm.
The player I love both the receivers that I mentioned earlier. I think this is going to be Mitchell's game.
Okay.
I think Mitchell puts on a show, and I give it to Texas 42-31.
Okay.
I think Oklahoma puts up points. I think it's a ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm rocking with Texas. I just think, I don't know, man. I just think this is Texas' year. Honestly, I feel like Texas. You get through this game, the path is there, man, to dominate your conference and be an undefeated team in the college football playoff. We like this Texas team preseason.
Mm-hmm.
We both, I was very headstrong about them going to Alabama and winning that ball game coming into the season.
Yeah.
And they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they might not have been dominating every game, but I just think this team has the talent and has the coaching, and they have the quarterback. They have the guys, the horses, to be a national championship team. And you win these games. You win this game if you are that team.
Right.
And I think they win this game. I think they are that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely agree with you as well. I'm looking at the schedule now. I mean, you beat OU. You got at Houston. 2 home games back to back. Being BYU and Kansas State. Then you got 2 away games, TCU at Iowa State. Those are your somewhat trap games, but and then you cap off the season against Texas Tech at home. So, hey, if they beat OU, like, the season is theirs on a silver platter.
It's right there on the platter for them.
All they have to do is take care of business. That's all they got to do. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if Texas wins this ball game. I think they will, and if so, like we said, it's right there on a silver platter.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Well, anything else, Chris, that you want to mention about this game before we move along?
Nah, I think that does it all for me, man. We broke that bad boy down. So,
hey, look, hands down, I'm saying there's going to be a lot of fun games, of course, this week. But I think that's the funnest game that we're going to see.
There's nothing like this. This is a classic rivalry, man. There's nothing like this game. Even when the 2 teams are having down years, you have to watch this game.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that they are back and for Venables, we have to. I guess I have one more thing. Coming off the season that he had last year in his first year as head coach at OU, this would be so big for him to get this win against this Texas team, the team that's been anointed, has been talked about since the preseason as the crown jewel of the Big 12, the Texas team that brings Texas back. Texas is back. This is the team that's been anointed, the prodigal son, the one that's supposed to be the team.
It's being put on a pedestal.
Coming off all the heat that he endured after last year and the kind of season Oklahoma had. If he gets this win, oh man, that's huge. That's huge. It's huge. Everybody was questioning, is he the guy? Did Oklahoma mess up? Did they hire the right coach? You know, there was a lot of speculation going on. We have to be real. So.
Yeah.
There is that aspect to factor in, and there's a storyline on that note as well. So it's huge, not just because of the rivalry, but there's also bigger things at play in store with both of these teams being top 12 teams in the nation.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a big one. I just can't wait, man. And I will say this before we move on: if OU does win this football game, Chris, I will not go outside for any reason whatsoever.
You get all your groceries delivered to you. Get on Instacart. If you're ordering out, get it to go. If you gotta go out the house, go curbside pickup.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go on HEB.com, just like, look, I'm getting my groceries, through curbside. I don't want to talk to any UT fans right now because I don't know what they're thinking right now. Leave those individuals alone.
Yes, yes. I think you'll feel the energy just pull. You know what I'm saying? Just pulled out the city.
Yeah.
If they do lose.
Yeah.
So it's a big weekend. It's a big weekend for sure.
It's a big weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So can't wait for OU versus Texas. Red River rivalry should be a big matchup, Chris. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna segue back over to the SEC, Chris, and we're gonna talk about a team that you have a little familiarity with, I should say, in the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky Wildcats will be taking on number 1 Georgia this Saturday. This is gonna be
night game.
Yeah, a night
Between
game.
the hedges.
ESPN, Between the Hedges, should be a good matchup. Vegas has Georgia as a 14.5 point favorite, and the over under is 47.5 as well. So, what do you think so far about this game, Chris? How the way Vegas is looking at the game, and just the tail of the tape overall?
So, I think with this game, Kentucky has the veteran QB that if you want to pull off an upset, I think Devin Leary can lead a team to make that happen in this kind of matchup. He's an older senior QB, talented. He's played in some big games at NC State.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the moment. We saw Kentucky's offensive line, I think, grow up in their last game against Florida. That's been the thing that they've been struggling with. It's been like the weakness of this team dating back to last season. And for you to create the lanes and holes for your running back to rush for 280 yards, they will be extremely confident going into this matchup against a Georgia defensive line. They don't have no Jalen Carter there. This is a good defensive line, but it's not that menace that you just look across in front of you and just be like, dog, how are we going to block these guys? So the recipe is there for Kentucky to really make this a good game. But there has been some scuttlebutt about some injuries to their wide receivers, to guys like Barrion Brown and Tavion Robinson. And I'm just keeping it real, man. You need your horses healthy. You need those guys not just able to play, but you need them healthy.
Yeah.
To get a win in this matchup, in this environment, in this moment. Granted, Georgia has not been great, but they are the number 1 team in the nation for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be at home. And they just struggled the week before. Kirby Smart is on their tail, is on their neck. And these guys, they probably had the best week of practice they had this season. I'm just being real, Kory.
Yeah.
I think Georgia, I don't want to say this. I think Georgia wins by like 20. I think Georgia, as much as I want this to be a game and to be that nail biter, I think Georgia plays their best game of the season from first quarter to fourth quarter. And I think it's just going to overwhelm Kentucky. I think the Bulldogs, I think they cover the spread. I really think they kind of win this one handedly.
I agree. I was talking to my older brother and a couple other people about this game, just about how Kirby Smart turns it up to the max when he knows his team is starting to get lackadaisical, of course. You remember a couple weeks ago after the South Carolina victory, and the reporter on CBS came up to Kirby Smart to ask him, how they pulled out that game with a victory and everything, and his remark was, "This was a composure mission." Like, I've never heard a comment like that in my life, Chris, but
Composure mission.
it was a composure mission. I don't even know what that means, but let's just say I knew what that meant. Let's just say we knew what that meant, Chris. Like, he sound like a man that knew that all of the talk, all of the, hey, Georgia's going to three-peat this year with flying colors. Everything is going to be hunky-dory. Everything's going to be good. You ain't got to worry about trying hard at all. I think he started to notice that was really getting, that rhetoric was seeping into his team.
Yeah.
And we know Kirby Smart. He's from that Nick Saban tree. He's going to find a way to light a fire for his football.
They just whoop Florida's ass, and they come in here thinking they about to whoop your ass on our field. I can hear him.
I can hear him now. I can hear him now. And that would drive Georgia to stump a mud hole in Kentucky, which is what I think is going to happen as well, Chris. I don't think Kentucky stands a chance. Look, I understand Ray Davis had a big day last week against Florida, and hats off to him. He was their hoss last week.
Oh yeah, you remember NCAA football, with the impact players, and then they had a little thing underneath them, and it started glowing when they making plays. It was pulsing. That thing was pulsing all game for him.
Yeah.
That's all you saw. The little thing lit up. The little pulse. Boop 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 boop. It was lit up yellow every time he got the ball.
Right.
And then don't let you make a juke or a cut, and then it'll go to slow motion, and it go back to normal motion after he make you move. That's what Florida saw.
I know.
All last week.
Oh my gosh, you make me want to play NCAA 06 right now. But overall, Chris, I think Kirby Smart is going to motivate this team to get up and get ready on a 6 p.m. kickoff to take on Kentucky on ESPN. I just don't see them letting up against Kentucky in this game. Granted, both teams are 5-0 right now, and Devin Leary is who I believe he is the more.
He's ready for this. He's the quarterback that is more seasoned for this kind of game. This is Carson Beck's first. Was this going to be his first top 25 matchup?
Mm-hmm.
First game where the lights will be a little brighter.
Yeah.
SEC foe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I do see what you're saying. This Leary has more reps under the belt and is a little more seasoned for this kind of game.
Right. He's seen this before. So, if I had to choose, a quarterback out of the two, I'm picking Devin Leary, no question. But overall, I do think the team, the whole team for Georgia, is going to really come out of this shell for probably the first time this year. And you're going to see the Georgia that we all have been wondering where they're at. I think, honestly, Beck's going to have a pretty good game. The defense is going to have a good game, and you're going to see all 4 quarters from this team.
I see that as well, but I do have to speak on if the outside chance that not only is this closer than we anticipate, but if Kentucky does, if they do pull it off, the X factor is not a player, Kory.
Mm-hmm.
The X factor is Liam Cohen, is Kentucky's offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen was the OC when Kentucky had their season where they won 10 games and went on to win the Citrus Bowl. And then Liam went on to go become the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. And his return, they didn't have him last season, and it showed. It showed. That offense never just hit stride. It just never clicked. And Kentucky has some real talent. Is it Georgia talent? Georgia's been recruiting top 5 recruiting classes the last 8 years. So no. But Kentucky has some guys. Barryon Brown. We talk about Xavier Worthy speed. Barryon Brown, I guarantee you, if you clock him, he's running a 4.35 or faster. If you clock him in the 40, he's that fast. Tavion Robinson is extremely shifty. Dane Key was starting as a true freshman at wide receiver last year, and we know you're the real deal in the SEC if you're starting as a true freshman at wide receiver. That doesn't happen normally. You're normally a future Sunday player if you do so. They got real guys on the perimeter. We've already sung Ray Davis's praises. Liam has some pieces to really cook, and you got the veteran QB. Liam, the play calling that he does and what he brings to the table as a coach with his system, I expect him to really get in his bag for this game. And don't be shocked if Kentucky can get the shot plays. We talked about the shot plays for Oklahoma to pull off the upset. I think this is another game where you're on the road and you're taking on the number 1 team in the nation. Expect Liam, don't be surprised if Liam just lets it hang. You go out on your sword and you really dial up some plays and really challenge Georgia's secondary to try to contain that speed that they have. If those guys are healthy, if Brown plays and Robinson plays, along with what they have with Dane Key, and they have some good tight ends as well, the makings are there for Liam Cohen to really cook up some stuff, and people might be surprised at the damage Kentucky does offensively against Georgia. Because last season, Kentucky couldn't do anything on offense against the Bulldogs, but the defense was great. Kentucky held Georgia to 16 points. Kentucky's defense is still very good this year and can also cause some problems for Georgia. So there is a world where we do anticipate Georgia to overwhelm Kentucky, but I could not let myself, we could not talk about this game and not talk about how, the avenue, the pathway for Kentucky to win, because there is one. There is a world where that does happen. I don't think it happens, but there is a world where it does happen.
Yeah, since you mentioned it, the overall, from the last several years in Kentucky, their MO has been running the football, and you credit that to Kentucky's offensive line. So
They blew off.
Yeah. So I totally understand where you're coming from, Chris, where if they have a really good game plan on how to attack that D line, hey, this might be a game that Kentucky can can showcase their skills and
Yeah.
can possibly upset Georgia. So
And if there's a Georgia team to do this on of recent history to pull off the upset, this looks like the team. Granted, still a very good to great Georgia team, but they have not looked like that animal, that menace that teams have had to deal with the last 3 seasons.
Right, especially last
Those
year's
Georgia
team.
teams were different. Yes, yes, those are some different teams. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We both expect Georgia to win comfortably. Yeah. But there is a world where Kentucky does not only make this a ball game, but you can't pull off the upset win because, like we said, they have the veteran QB, and they will need Leary to make some plays to showcase his experience and protect the football, and also connect on those shot plays downfield. And make it happen. We've seen upsets happen before. It's almost a similar recipe to the biggest upset of our college days that we saw when Mississippi State went on the road to beat LSU. Dak Prescott, that was his junior year at quarterback. I believe a redshirt junior. And it came along the season prior and made some plays and got some experience under his belt. State had Jamion Lewis. You had Bear. Like, you had some really good receivers on the outside. Robert Johnson, those guys. You had some guys who can make plays.
Yeah, young Fred Ross.
Fred Ross. Like, you had some guys, and you had a very good running back as well. Bowling ball. Kentucky has Ray Davis. Might not, if you know. Most people might not know these guys, but like they were some really good players for that state team, and they are some good players for this Kentucky team. Dan Mullen was in the deepest of his bags with the play calling in that game. Was dialing it up.
Yeah,
he really called off. They called off the dogs. They were running LSU out of Tiger Stadium.
Yeah,
I think you have to have a performance like that where you, like I said with Liam Cohen, he has to call his best football game of his life offensively. And if he does so, Kentucky has a chance. We'll see.
Yeah. He's going to have to call a very tough physical game in the trenches on Saturday. So it's going to be interesting. Man, like this old line talk, man. I wish we had Cole Kubelik on the show. He can really break it down for us.
No, he loves the old line, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But no, I think you're absolutely right, Chris. In order for Kentucky to get a shot, I do think they're going to have to be solid at running the football, and which in turn will give Leary a chance to throw the football as well. But we'll see what happens this week with some of their wide receivers and see if some of those guys can play this week, and if so, it's going to have to be a concerted effort, team effort,
right,
in order to beat Georgia. So. But
I agree.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before wrap up with our last two games?
We can move on. Are we gonna keep it in the SEC? We keeping it down south?
You know what? Let's go ahead and keep it in the SEC before we wrap up with the last game that we'll have. That is part of the state of Kentucky, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We have LSU coming to take on the Missouri Tigers this Saturday, Chris.
It's such an interesting matchup.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting matchup. I don't think they play against each other yearly. I think this is just one of those like, hey,
it's the interconference matchup, interdivisions.
Yeah, that happens
Yeah.
once in a while. So the LSU Tigers coming into Columbia, Missouri to take on the Missouri Tigers. Vegas has LSU as a 4-point favorite, and the over under is at 65 right now, Chris. So I know
Vegas
last week,
knows.
yeah, like Vegas knows something that we don't know. But overall, last week we saw LSU take on Ole Miss in that barn burner of a football game. Of course, LSU lost that game against the Rebels. Now they're looking to bounce back against Eli Drinkwitz's squad, who is playing really good football right now. I think if no one has been looking out against Missouri yet, I do think that it's best if they start looking after Missouri. I think right now they're playing really good football, and they have a shot this Saturday to become 6-0, which I wish I could know that stat. When was the last time Missouri was 6-0?
That's a good question. Was it? Was that 2012?
You know what? I mean,
when the very first year they entered the conference, they made it to the SEC championship game, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I think you're mentioning the year afterwards. I think.
Oh, it's after. That's right. That's right. Okay, but I knew early on they made it to the conference championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's that year they went 6-0? I'm not.
I think you're remembering the year when they went up against Auburn in the SEC championship game, which was a really good team.
Was that 14 then?
I think that may have been, honestly. Now that I think about it, maybe you are right. I think that was the 2013 Missouri Tigers. So yeah, that's like that 2012 to 2013 season.
Okay, because I knew we had that, and we're gonna go back even further. I believe it was 2008 when they played against Kansas, when those two teams were undefeated, playing the last regular season game of the year, when they were both like top 5 in the nation, if my memory serves me right. But yeah, it's not every day Missouri is 6-0. That's the point we're making.
Right. And looking back at it, I think we were right. It was that 2013 season where they actually were 7-0 before they took their first loss. It was against a 2 overtime. It was 2 overtime game against South Carolina. Where they lost 27-24, but before that game they were 7-0 that year.
So yeah,
you were right.
Eli, he has that thing cooking, man. This is the year he's been waiting on, and we getting into this ball game. LSU secondary. This is where the game kind of it comes to. LSU secondary has been bad. Kory, bad. I can't stress how bad they have been.
Putrid should be the word. That's
great, excellent, excellent choice. Yes,
they have not been good.
It's been rough.
at all.
We saw Keon Coleman light them up. We've seen what Jackson Dart did with his receivers
He called him up.
last week,
You would have thought it was
and
Thanksgiving down there in
you thought
Oxford.
it was Christmas. How lit up it was. The Christmas trees were lit, but man, Missouri has a receiver. You know, I love my Sunday guys.
Mm-hmm.
Luther Burden.
Yeah.
He's somebody I'll be drafting in my fantasy leagues when he makes it to the pros. I remember when he was a 5-star recruit coming out of St. Louis, and when Missouri was able to lock him in and keep him in state, a talent like he is, where they were able to get him, he has lived up to the billing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have never seen Luther Burden play, buckle up, people. This boy, he is him. He's the real deal.
He is him.
He is him. And I know he's been licking his chops, looking at the film, getting ready for this one. He can go off for 12 and 210 and 3 TDs in this ball game. I'm not exaggerating. That's the kind of game he can have against this LSU secondary. And quite honestly, Missouri will probably need him to have a 150 plus receiving yard game and multiple TDs to win this one. But it's very possible.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's a pride game though for LSU because the secondary knows they've been getting picked on.
Mm-hmm.
The offense has put up enough points to win, but they have been getting picked on, and I'm really curious to see is what LSU defense shows up like. Is this truly? Do you fold because more than likely what we want to accomplish this season isn't happening, or do you step up to the occasion and mess around and lock up Missouri? And we know what the offense is going to do. Do you quiet up this Missouri crowd pretty early on and LSU kind of, put some points on the board? And maybe is this the game? I thought they were going to run off on Ole Miss last week. Is this the game where they run off on their opponent? I'm curious to see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. Like you said, Chris, that defense. Like that defensive secondary for LSU is like they have not been playing up to the standards that you would think Brian Kelly would want them to, and that it's going to be telling this week when they go up against a player as dynamic as Luther Burden III this Saturday. He is no joke. I know you remember a couple weeks ago when LSU went down to Starkville and Malik Neighbors had that big day against the Bulldogs. Like, Eli Drinkwitz is going to want to have that kind of day with Luther Burden out there at receiver. And, hey, folks, if you're going to be watching this game on Saturday, watch out for Luther Burden. He can have that kind of day too. The same way that Malik Neighbors had.
He can go catch for catch with Malik Neighbors. They both can get theirs this game. If Malik gets about a touchdown on one drive, don't be surprised if Luther tries to match that energy and he comes around and gets a touchdown the next drive out for Missouri. He's just as talented as Malik Neighbors is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to be the LSU defense trying to play catch up at that point against Missouri. And that's what kind of makes me feel like that can very well happen this week. Just by how many yards the LSU defense as a whole gave up last week, and for the most part, they've given up as a total
Mm-hmm.
this season. Um, it's just to me, it's just not. It's not just the secondary. I do also think that defensive line isn't as stout as past defensive lines have been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that they're gonna have to figure it out. Of course, like Harold Perkins can't be everywhere around the field, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. I mean, LSU still has some players out there on the defense, of course. I like Perkins. Greg Penn's pretty good. Major
Mm-hmm.
Burns is he's decent, but you know, as a collective unit, of course, as a defense, they're gonna have to do a lot with stopping the pass and the run too. So it's going to be interesting because Cody Schrader, out at running back for the Tigers, for the Missouri Tigers, he's no joke either. You know,
Mm-hmm. Missouri has some. They have some players.
yeah,
Coach Drake. He's been he's been doing his thing. Like I mentioned earlier, getting Burden. They've been doing well in the recruiting trail,
mm-hmm.
and they've been building up for this moment. Last season was like a teaser. So many games they were so close to winning
Mm-hmm.
and could have possibly had this kind of season last year. They were right there in a tussle with Georgia last year. And you had the heartbreak loss to Auburn. I mean, several games. They were right there on the cusp. Kentucky, you don't rough the punter in that ball game. It's a good chance they beat Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 games right there that could have swayed their season. So this is what they've been building for. You already have a huge win against Kansas State under your belt. So this won't be the first time the bullets are flying and they've been in a top tier tough matchup, a ranked matchup. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. Of course, who do you think comes away victorious in this ball game?
Oh man, I think honestly, after seeing that performance last week from LSU, do I think they're going? Do I think they have a chance to bounce back after a tough loss in Oxford last week? Um, I don't think so. I think Missouri. I think Missouri has this game. I think they're going to win by at least 14 points.
Wow, that's bold. So Missouri by at least 14. Home field domination. Tiger on Tiger crime.
Yeah.
LSU 3-3. Who would have thought LSU would be 500 halfway, 6 weeks through the season? That would be something.
Hey, I didn't see it either, but here we are.
That would be something. That would be something. I'm going with LSU. I think I know what to expect with Jaden Daniels. Quite honestly, if if LSU has played up to their standard as a team this year, he will be running for a Heisman. He's had that kind of season as a quarterback throwing the football. He's had a hot hand throwing for over 300 yards the last couple games. I think LSU's offense will be successful. I think that momentum will continue to roll offensively. And I think this defense, I mentioned this is going to be a pride game. I think they step up to the occasion. So So I'm gonna give it to LSU. The spread is close for a reason, but I give it to LSU. I think they win this one. And I think they do so. I say LSU by 10. I think they win by more than one possession.
By
I
10.
think they put up points. I think they win. I think LSU gets this one. I would not be shocked if Missouri wins. Quite honestly, at this point, I'm here for the chaos, and I would love to see it as a college football fan. Let's because at that point LSU was unranked, and now we're like, what in the world? Year 2 of the Brian Kelly experience, and LSU is 500. It makes for a lot of great discussion and everything. But I think my as much as my heart might want to see the chaos, my mind can't wrap itself around LSU losing this game. Despite the struggles they've had in the secondary, I think they find a way to get the win.
Hey, it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
both scenarios. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Here's the thing about LSU, and I know a lot of our audience probably feel a little bit of the same way as us too. It's just that defense really, really bothers me right now, Chris. It's some days they look all right against lesser competition. Of course, it's lesser competition, but some days they look all right. Some days, they go up against a team with some better competition. I don't know what they expect from them. So it's one of those things where I'm starting to challenge myself with LSU, and I'm trying to say, like, hey, is this team ready to go into a hostile environment like Missouri?
You are who you are.
Yeah, you are who you are.
You are who you are.
I don't know. It's something about Missouri right now in the way that they're playing that makes me feel like LSU has no shot. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. But I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. But we're going to butt heads sometimes. So I'm rocking with LSU in this one. And if Missouri wins, I would not be shocked one bit. This is the 2 top 25 teams, 2 SEC teams, and the recipe is there. One team struggles mighty heavily on defense. The other team has a player that can expose that defense's weakest point.
Mm-hmm.
And Missouri is at home, and we've talked before about how much home field can be a factor in these tightly contested college football games this season. With the wiggle room not really being on too much dominance, everybody's kind of on the same level. But I'm gonna rock with LSU in this one. I think Missouri's had a big win, but I'm gonna give LSU this one. I think this is gonna be the pride game. That's my call for it. This is a pride game for LSU. Yeah, we've lost 2 games already, but we're not dead just yet.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good way to put it. Of course, hey, look, once Saturday hits, it's anyone's ball game. Honestly, it's just
gonna be fun. It makes for better television for us to watch. We're just watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we're gonna get our popcorn popped up like TL. Get your popcorn ready, and we're gonna sit back and see what happens.
Exactly. You're not a college football fan if you don't love the chaos. I'm just saying that this game just feels like one of those games that's going to bring chaos.
this entire weekend can be the chaos weekend.
It
We
can.
haven't had that weekend yet where all the favorites got beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember, I think that was 2007 when we had the two-loss LSU team in the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
2 losses. That whole season was chaos.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a weekend in college football where just team after team gets beat. This might be that weekend where some of our good old favorites, our blue bloods, some wild shenanigans happens.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. We've had some upsets, but we haven't just had a whole day dedicated to just who they beat who, and then you watch the next game 3 hours later. They lost to who, and it just keeps on rolling. So
Yeah.
I would love for that to be this weekend.
Look. Today's show, we haven't even talked about some of the games that's even coming up in week 6. Like, I mean, look, we got Arkansas taking on Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, that game is.
Who
You
knows?
go ahead and stamp that one for craziness. That game is known for its shenanigans.
Exactly. Washington State right now is playing really good football right now. Who said they won't go down to UCLA and lose that football game? Who knows what will happen with Ohio State this week taking on Maryland? It's so many different scenarios that can happen. And I just think that this game this week, while LSU still has a lot of good talent, like you mentioned, Missouri is starting to come out of the shell, starting to show that, hey, they can be a dominant force in the SEC too. So that's what makes me kind of lean towards them this week. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this game. But I'm ready. I'm ready. Jaden Daniels, I know he's going to be looking to have a really good day. Looking for his chance to bounce back and keep the wheels turning and just keeping his team in the right direction going forward for LSU. But Brady Cook right now, he's playing really good football as well. So we'll see. We'll see.
We will. Well, speaking of upsets, what could be a crazy upset weekend. We have our last game.
Yes.
That we can talk about. That if the home team wins, I don't think many people had this on their bingo card to start the season. Number 10, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, coming off a tussle, a hard-fought victory at Duke, taking on the undefeated 25th ranked Louisville Cardinals that Kory, he's told y'all, if you've been listening to the pod, he said, look, Louisville's playing some good football. And the Cards are 5-0. And they welcome the Fighting Irish to town. 7:30 Eastern Time kickoff. It's going to be rocking in Louisville. I expect that place to probably be sold out.
I think it will be.
So, man, how do we think this one's going to play out? Because it can go both ways, too. Another one of those games that I can see the pathway for both teams getting, winning the ball game.
Yeah. Both teams this year, I think overall have played, excellent football. overall, when I look at these teams, I look at teams that are very scrappy, not scared to really take on a challenge. Notre Dame with their game against Ohio State a few weeks ago was a challenge for them. They lost that game by 3 points. Came back last week and saw adversity again against a really good Duke team who both of us like. They've really stuck to their guns and overcoming adversity. And when I look at this Louisville team, I think they're pretty much the same way. They've had to, battle in a couple of games as well. That NC State game
Mm-hmm.
was telling. They had to battle in that game. Georgia Tech, they had a battle in that game. Indiana
Mm-hmm.
was another game that they had to battle in. So I think Louisville has shown us enough that they're battle tested as well, and I think this game, fortunately for them, will be one of their biggest tests yet on their schedule. And this isn't even counting Duke and Miami, teams that they still have to play up against this year. That
Mm-hmm.
those games aren't going to be easy for them. But hey, like, you're 5-0 right now. You should be proud of that heading into this game, and you should be ready to take on a challenge.
It's going to be a challenge for sure. For this Louisville Cardinal team,
Mm-hmm.
they Notre Dame is no joke. They very easily could be undefeated if they had 11 players on the field. Uh, in that Ohio State game on the last play.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see how this game plays out. But for Notre Dame, this they've been on a run of tough games. I just mentioned Ohio State. Then you turn around and play at Duke. And now you're playing at Louisville.
It's not easy.
Not an easy stretch at all.
It's not easy at
Not an
all.
easy stretch at all. Let alone the fact that these are top 25 matchups, but man, these are some of the more physical teams in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
That Ohio State Notre Dame game, that was a tussle. That was tough.
Yeah.
That's some real football. It wasn't finesse, nothing finesse about that game. Same thing against Duke. Tough. At some point, your body's going to feel that. And I just wonder, does Notre Dame, do they slip up? Do they lose this one just off of the fact that it's another really difficult matchup? It's not going to be easy, even though I think we can say to an extent that Louisville is probably overachieving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people expected them to have this season, especially with the first year coach Braun.
Yeah.
Louisville legend, by the way. He all the touchdown passes he threw out there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what also kind of gives his team an edge too. Is their coach? He knows offense.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to put points on the board. It's going to be very interesting. They have a very good receiver as well with Thrash, who can thrash defenses. He has 5 touchdowns this year. Um, Louisville, they've been able to create a lot of explosive plays. And that's another theme. I feel like if you are a team that's trying to pull off a huge upset victory,
Mm-hmm.
you need shot plays. And he is a player that I believe, people you're watching this game, if if Louisville is going to make some shot plays downfield, it won't be surprised if Thrash is the one making them.
Yeah.
His average yards per reception, 20 yards. He is their big play guy. So be on the lookout for him. I think this is going to be a shootout.
It very well could be.
I know that Ohio State game wasn't one for Ohio State Notre Dame wasn't one, but I think this one has the makings for a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle on who I want to pick to win. I've been going back and forth all day on this one.
It's so much of an interesting football game because you don't. Oh, for one thing, you don't see these two play against each other, but because
not unless you're watching ACC basketball, it doesn't normally happen on the football field,
right? But this game, in knowing how both teams' seasons have been thus far, I think this is another one of those toss-up games, honestly. Because Louisville has been playing really good football. They've been handling their season about as well as one would think. They've really taken the challenge. They've taken on that challenge, and they're 5-0 right now. Taking on a Notre Dame team, that's looking to really, showcase their strength within college football as well. They had that heartbreaking loss against Ohio State. They're not looking to have another one of those games. So I think Louisville knows that going in, and I think the coaching staff for the Cardinals are going to draw up a really good game plan at home, which is a good thing, to really put the best 11 guys on all three phases of the football.
Yeah, it will be a good game. I anticipate it to be a good game, and I don't think this one is going to. I don't think it will be a blowout. I think this one goes to the very end. I wouldn't be shocked if this goes to overtime. I think it's going to be one of those tightly contested ball games. I think I'm gonna settle on Notre Dame. I think they end up on the good side of a close one, of the nail biter at the end in this one.
Mm-hmm.
34-31, Notre Dame, walk-off field goal.
That's an interesting that's an interesting thought process on how that game is gonna go.
I think it'll be a tight one. Yeah, that's how I see it playing out, and I've struggled. I've wanted to pick Louisville too. If you're betting, pick Louisville. I feel like, to all my bettors out there, I believe the spread is Notre Dame's 6-point favorites.
Let's see right quick. Yeah, I think it said Vegas has Notre Dame as a 6.5-point favorite, and over under is at 54.
If I'm betting, I'm taking Louisville. So, but to win the ball game, I think the Irish win by 3 in this one. But this is going to be a doozy.
Okay. For me, I think I'm going to go the opposite route and
I
take.
figured you were going to rock with the Cards. You've been your squad so far. You're low key, your sleeper squad all year. I figured you were going to rock with your Cards.
Look, look. It's something about these guys right now that I'm really liking right now. I like this Louisville team. I can't deny it. I think they are going to win this game by a field goal as well. I think I think they got an opportunity to probably make a big stop on defense, get the crowd going, and walk off the field with a W. By getting a good
Jack Plummer leading the Cards to victory.
Yeah, hey,
He's had his time. He's been a quarterback that's been in the portal, and he's now settled at Louisville. This will be a big win for Plummer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's gonna be interesting.
That'll be a storm. The field will be rushed if they win this one. You know this. They're storming the field.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way that they're not going to storm the football field if Louisville wins.
What a weekend of college football this shapes out to be if some of these predictions happen. You know, if A&M beats Bama, if Kentucky goes on the road, if they go on the road and pull off the upset against Georgia, Missouri knocks off national powerhouse LSU, and Louisville beats Notre Dame. If all of that was to happen this weekend, Kory, my goodness.
It'd definitely be a lot to talk about.
We're going to have some stuff to talk about.
Hey, I'm all for it. If everyone else is, I am too. Let's go. Chaos in college football.
I'm here for it. I ain't mad at you. I will be happy.
And we ain't even in November.
Just cracked October.
I know. Just started October.
It ain't even Halloween. So yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see. I think all of these games that we mentioned are going to be big time games this weekend. So I can't wait till we sink our teeth in watching these games and see how the outcomes.
That's how everything turns out.
Happen. So yeah.
For sure, man. This was another fun episode. Both shows are interesting where we recap games, but it's also fun to dive into the preview game of the next week of the matchups that we have coming up next. So I like this episode as well.
Yeah,
this is it's been really fun giving our previews, our predictions. And we got to keep track of them too. We need to see. I need to go back and listen to the other episodes, and we got to keep tally up. We got to keep tabs on how we hit on our predictions.
Right. Yeah, we'll definitely have plenty of time to go back throughout the once the season kind of ends and see where we were at with our picks and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be a big it's gonna be fun for sure. And then also, as we get ready to wrap things up, just want to tell you guys, get at me on social media, on X, Chris_Bolton_12. Let me know how stupid I am for thinking LSU is going to go to Missouri, knowing their secondary has been trash this year, and still picking the Tigers. You can get at me on there, or you can also get at me on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. And look, just holla at your boy. Holla at your boy, man. We can talk it up, man. Let me know if you're rocking with, my thought processes, and also just let us know how we can, what else you would like us to incorporate in the show. We're all ears.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And as for me, you can follow me on X as well at Listen to KSW, all in one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, video games, all of that good stuff. Let me know. Am I starting to become a Louisville Cardinal stan now? Have I
Might have to get you
traded?
a jersey for Christmas, man.
Yeah, maybe so. Have I traded my cowbell for a Cardinals jersey? It's just let me know. If so, that is what it is. But hey, we outside.
Another shade of red.
Yeah.
You traded in that deep maroon for a little bit of a brighter red. No.
Look. I can have dreams too. I can. You gotta let me live.
You might as well be a Cardinal fan the way the Bulldogs playing this year.
Hey,
my goodness.
Look. that's a whole other can of worms that I do not want to open. I do not want to open that Pandora's box, Chris.
I feel you. We're just gonna have to act like that ain't happening.
Yeah. We just gonna brush that off to the side. Oh man, but yeah. Once again, we appreciate y'all listening in on the show. Just talking about all the crazy games that are coming up this week in college football. But that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you guys, as always, like we said. And we'll be back for another episode next week. Yeah, to go over everything.
Recap all the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah, week 6. We are halfway through the football season. But guys, until then, we will catch y'all later. Peace.
Holla.